Hi, I'm Jeff Campfire, and this is a recording of my short story, Atoms, which was published in the Dos Pesos Review, Volume 6, Number 1, Atoms by Jeff Campfire. Boxes crowded the quartz-flecked countertops in the narrow kitchen of the townhouse that Daniel had recently leased, just off I-79. Plates, bowls, cups, flatware, canned soup, some liquor. Unpacking could wait another night, though. Daniel's daughter sat beside him, huddled over a circular glass-topped table. A pendant light shone down on an open textbook and a multiple-choice worksheet. "You don't have much more time to finish up, Chelsea," Daniel said. He glanced out the window. Putting one hand on his chin, he swung the other to the back of the chair. "This the last thing?" "Mm-hmm." His daughter kicked her heels on the legs of the chair with a steady syncopation that told Daniel she wasn't concentrating on the microscope diagram or the list of glossary items beside it at the start of Chapter 5. Science is an important subject, he contemplated aloud. It had also been a weak spot on her latest report card. Chelsea had worshipped her science teacher in second grade, a squeaky man in short-sleeved arrow shirts, and had labored for favorable attention. But that disposition had vanished over the intervening summer. "What are you studying?" "We're on matter. What's the smallest part?" "What does it say here in your book? Here. Smallest particle. Look, looks like it's an atom." Daniel knew there were smaller particles, protons and whatnot, and maybe subdivisions smaller than that, but he assumed the textbook pitched the material at a level developmentally appropriate for a third grader. Daniel darted another look out the window. He promised to help Chelsea through her homework after school, but they had killed an hour at Pizza Hut and a couple more watching television. There was never enough time. He couldn't be expected to manage much more, he told himself, at the ragged end of Monday. Always a heady day of calls and appointments at First Burgess Bank. "What's an atom?" "It's a molecule, part of a molecule, honey. Atoms make up molecules, and molecules make up all the matter around us, including us. Everything in the whole world." The whole world. Daniel thought of a review he'd seen while skimming the Winston Daily Dispatch over a solitary breakfast. A new book on the history of money throughout the world. The book's author, a Scottish historian of economics, apparently lauded the birth of accounting thousands of years ago in Mesopotamia as the foundation, the most essential underpinning of human progress and, ultimately, modern society. Money, he asserted the historian, embodied nothing less than trust. A good premise. Daniel, a loan officer, had thought of buying the book. He thought of things like that. He wanted to keep learning, partly because it was his job, and one he took seriously, to help his daughter find her way in the world, to break it all down for her, to help her understand how things fit together. He refused to be relegated to the role of passive spectator in her life. "But what is an atom?" Chelsea fussed. Daniel glowered at the textbook, realizing he was rapidly exhausting the modest stores of his understanding of even elementary science. What he understood was finance, specifically the ins and outs of commercial banking. Checkable deposits, savings deposits, term deposits, corporate and government bonds. There had to be a connection between the world he lived in and hers. "An atom is like a penny," he said. He scooped a small handful of change from his trouser pocket and spilled the coins on the table. "You have quarters, dimes, nickels, see? But a penny is as low as you go." Daniel knew, naturally, of the finer granularities of currency invoked in the marketplace, past the tiny black holes of decimal points. Tracking those fractions of cents had been part of his education and experience in finance for years. But such infinitesimals, like quarks and neutrinos, if those were the right terms, had no application here. "What's a penny?" she asked now. "Which one?" Chelsea was joking, certainly. Head lolling on her forearm at the edge of the table, she was grasping at daydreams and distractions. Had to be. Even these days, when people increasingly were conducting the smallest transactions electronically, and the U.S. Mint was considering phasing out penny production due to escalating metal prices, his own daughter surely had handled enough spare change to recognize the easterly profile of Lincoln stamped on a button of zinc and copper. Daniel fingered a cent. Honey, it's the one, he started again. See these? You know these, right? With his index finger, he dragged one penny across the tabletop next to another penny. 5 pennies make a nickel. 2 nickels make a dime. 2 dimes and a nickel make a quarter. It all builds, see? I know. Then what are we talking about? So small, it's like nothing, she bleated softly, pressing her shoulder blades against the chair and arching her back. You can't buy anything with it. Why do you even need it? Because everything counts, because big things are made of little things. That's the whole point of atoms and molecules and matter. Daniel heard the pitch of his voice rising. He cleared his throat. Think of money. There's this historian who says that what money represents fundamentally, down to the littlest headlights, bounced into the kitchen window from the parking lot. Chelsea stood with a suddenness that sent her chair skidding backward. Mom's here. Never enough time. Daniel stared out the window for a moment, then picked up the textbook and snapped it shut with a force that made his daughter blink. He handed it to her. Yes, your mom's here, he said. Pack up. You'll have to finish this business with her before you go to bed. Can I take the coins to show her? The headlights continued burning in the parking lot. His ex-wife, anxious to avoid another coarse exchange in front of Chelsea, would wait in the car for their daughter. There was evidently some residual anger over the settlement he'd negotiated. He had promised to keep things amicable, she had reminded him during their last argument. He promised to put Chelsea's welfare first. But it was the relatively small amount of child support that he paid that had allowed him to afford the townhouse, rather than an apartment, where he could spend evenings like this with Chelsea, in an atmosphere ample enough to feel like a home. Daniel helped his daughter on with her coat, kissed her temple, and watched through the kitchen window as she clambered with her backpack into her mother's car. Then he sat again at the table, where he'd begun the day with a toasted bagel and the newspaper. Chelsea, with her textbook and her questions and her heels, was gone. He wouldn't see her again until he picked her up at the house on Sunday. By then, Daniel considered the worksheet probably would be completed and turned in, probably even graded. And what difference would it make? Adams would retain their ordained arrangements, whether an 8-year-old girl understood them or not. He crossed his arms, uncrossed them. The oversized frosted light bulb with the pendant light shone on the nearly vacant tabletop. With his right hand, Daniel picked up each coin individually from the table and stacked the 2 quarters, dime, 2 nickels, and 3 pennies, in that order, in the open palm of his left hand. It was getting late. He returned the coins to his pocket.